Hi and welcome back. Today me and Paminas are going to be speaking on constructive dismissal, and I want you to start by defining what constructive dismissal is.
So a simple definition of constructive dismissal, Cynthia, is whereby an employer, they make the working conditions of the employee so intolerable such that the employee is faced with no other option other than to resign. So you make the working conditions so bad such that the end result is that the employee resigns.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing here is that you find constructive dismissal, it's not provided for in the Employment Act, in the labor laws. However, it's the courts that have pronounced themselves and said, yes, indeed, it's the conduct of the employer that they made the employee resign. So if you go to the Employment Act or the labor laws, you not find anywhere where the court, the parliament has said, no, there's something called constructive dismissal.
Yeah.
However, as we've discussed in the past, sometimes we do follow what the courts rule, how the courts pronounce themselves. And this is one of those resorts where the court has ruled that indeed, sometimes the conduct of the employer can force an employee to resign. Yeah.
And that sounds a bit messy. So when does it apply?
Yeah, in fact, like you say, the word here is messy because think about a normal working, conducive work environment for both parties. So the assumption is if we are working together, we are able to get along.
Yes.
And if there are issues, they are able to be resolved. But which are these instances that can be termed as constructive dismissal? So number one, where you don't avail the tools and you need the employee to deliver. So for example, one of your KPIs, our care as a digital marketer, is to ensure that we have videos every week. We have this conversation. So you'd imagine, yes, it's your work to avail yourself, but you're not concerned with where the video equipment you come from. So if someone puts a KPI on you and say, oh, Wakeo, every week you must produce a video, but there's no video equipment.
Yes.
Then, so here I am every day making noise to you. I'm not provided you with the resources.
Yes.
So you resign because of that. That can be deemed as constructive dismissal. So where an employer does not avail the tools of trade, whether it's even transport, for example, it's a salesperson, you need them to go out to the field, but you're not providing them with a transport or commute allowance, transport allowance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is where there's a breach of the employment terms. For example, let's say we had agreed that I pay you commissions.
Yeah.
So you do every bit on your part. You earn commissions, you hit the target, but the employer doesn't pay commission, and there's no justification. It's not that they are saying, oh, there's no money, I'll pay you in the next 2 months. This is where they've refused. So again, that can be termed as constructive dismissal.
Yeah.
So, but the other thing that the employee needs to know is that they must resign for it to be deemed as constructive dismissal. So what do I mean? You can't come and complain of something that happened 2 years ago and say, oh, Paminas hurt me. Or Paminas did not provide me video equipment for a week, and that's why I'm resigning 2 years later.
Yeah.
So whatever the employer does must lead to resignation, and it should be immediate. So that now the courts can remedy, so that the courts can deem that to be constructive dismissal. Yeah. So even the employee has a responsibility in that you don't come and say this happened 3 months ago, 6 years ago, and this is the time I'm claiming that. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give employers looking at this as an option?
Well, for now looking at it from an employer point, for me there are two scenarios where you find this happening.
Yeah.
Number one is where the employer really doesn't understand the labor laws. They don't understand how to follow the due process.
Yes.
So you might find, oh, I've been giving you transport for the last 6 months, you're a sales executive, but I can't see any results.
Yeah.
So the employer is acting out of anger, they're acting out of emotions. Yeah, so they don't understand the right procedure. And there is a right procedure to go about it. And I know you'll be discussing about performance management and how to terminate someone. So there's that employer. However, there are other employers who, and this is who the courts are for, where they're really out there to get you. I remember there's a case where there's this lady who was working for a multinational. So in a span of 9 months, she had been posted to 6 different countries.
Oh.
So they would post her to Zambia. She goes there, she only takes 2 months. They post her again to Uganda. So that's someone who, they knew what they were doing. They were hell-bent on making it so hard for this person so that they could resign. Yeah. So my advice to employers is, when it comes to employment matters, you don't have to make it personal, regardless of whatever is happening. I believe if there's proper communication and if you follow the due process, then any matter can be handled. For example, if someone is not performing, you can take them through a PIP process, performance improvement process, and if they don't improve, the law allows you to terminate them. If the company is not doing well, the law allows you to declare employee redundant. All you have to do is pay what is due to the employees. So it doesn't have to get messy. Yeah, and you can agree. Sometimes you can agree to disagree. Yes, I owe you 500,000, but the company is not performing. Can we get into a payment plan? Can I pay you the balance in the next five months? And the courts will agree that, yeah, so long as you're not using that as an excuse. Yeah, so I believe any matter that arises between an employer and employee, it can be handled in a more civil way. It doesn't have to resort to that.
But also it affects the organizational culture because other people can see what's
exactly happening. It also precisely, and that's what you have to look at the bigger picture, and that's really important, because no matter how long the employee is, the other staff, they will really not understand, because them, they are bystanders. They're looking at it and saying, oh, Perminas is treating this person this way. They don't know the extent. But if you're a civil person and you follow the due process, people understand. People are not stupid. They're able to know Cindy has not been performing. We see her getting at work at 9, leaving at 4. Sometimes she comes back 2 hours after lunch. You know, people are able to pick on these things. So even if you're terminated through the due process, they'll say that they saw it coming.
All right, thank you so much for those tips.
Good, karibu sana.
And thank you for watching. And if you'd like support on the Kenyan labor laws to ensure that you stay compliant, please reach out to us, as we are experts in that field. And we have left a link in the description box with more information on how to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help. See you in the next video.